Do you like the metaverse? Because I like the metaverse, and I'm really excied that Virtua's Cardano Island is sponsoring this episode. Cardano Island is one of those projects I'm excited to have in our ecosystem. There are small, medium, and large plots, also condos, plans for 4 main sections, different zones and districts, fan caves to display NFTs, 6 different land resources, land bots, non-player character slots, slots for our Cardano Summit 2021 NFTs, other games, and lots more features. I bought a large plot on Cardano Island, and I can't wait to be on my land to see what this becomes. Check out cardano.virtua.com or click the link below. I am completely unsure if we are in base reality or some kind of Bostrom style simulation. My money is probably on the simulation side of that bet. But whether we're in a simulation or not, I can say that at least in this iteration of the simulation or base reality, whatever it might be, the code that we write is not law. Maybe somebody's code defines physics throughout the universe, but the code we're writing here on Earth in crypto was never going to be treated as law by our judicial systems at any of their levels. Why? Because a stable society requires stable and predictable property ownership. The law simply can't tolerate legalized thievery or misappropriation. Ready? Let's go. Today, we're going to discuss the big mistake Crypto.com made and what it says about the premise that code is law, the latest on the Vasil upgrade status, OpenSea volume dropping massively, a big Cardano DeFi project launching in the next 2 weeks, and some big updates in Carda Station. If you are completely offended and enraged by my use of double ampersands, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please think about delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. We would love it if you join us over in the stake pool. Before we start, it looks like now is the time we can open back up for new sponsors of the channel. I want to thank Virtua for being the very first sponsor of the channel, but next week is the time when we can start opening things up back up for new sponsors. So if you're interested, hit me up on Twitter at Army Spies. No of, just at Army Spies. Here we have The Verge running a story titled Crypto.com mistakenly sent a customer $7.2 million instead of a $68 refund. The customer kept the money. Of course they did, because hey, it's crypto and code is law. If you accidentally send me millions of dollars when I should have gotten $68, of course, that is my money now. I am entitled to it because code is law. That's the way crypto works. This was something that has been bandied about in crypto forever. Code is law. And in fact, they even put that right here in this article. Apparently, code isn't law. I hadn't even seen that yet. But no matter how much we bandy about this idea that code is law, code was never going to be law. Why? Because one of the things about law in a well-functioning society is that it needs to promote the stability of society. And society can't experience stability if members of society can't make plans and execute on those plans. Societies have to kind of compete against each other. If you don't have a stable society, people are probably going to leave your society for one that is stable or more stable. We see this in the world today. Authoritarian regimes who take your money away from you if you get rich, people tend to try to leave the jurisdiction of those regimes and come to more free societies. It's a theme we've seen for a long, long time. The problem is, if you don't have predictable property rights, if property rights aren't predictable, especially the tenure of your property rights, if you can't tell how long you're going to be able to own something, if, for example, it might be taken from you by anyone, by the government or by another private actor in the society, if your property might be taken from you, it's really hard to make plans. And the problem with this code of law thing is we usually only talk about it when somebody's taking something they weren't ever supposed to have. This is something we don't have too often in normal society. For example, if your neighbor comes over to your house and they, are just messing around and they take off, some expensive piece of jewelry, like a diamond, a diamond ring or a diamond necklace, a platinum and diamond necklace, and they leave it on your coffee table. Or let's say they accidentally leave their car in your driveway and they go back over to their house. It wouldn't be considered a normal outcome that you could just keep their car or keep that diamond necklace. If you keep their car and they're like, oh, hey, I know I drove my car over here, but then I walked home for some weird reason because I live right next door. I'm back for my car. You can't say, hey, hey, neighborhood code is law. That's my car now. Like, that outcome is not going to be upheld. You're not going to be able to keep that car. That's not going to end up being your car. But in crypto, we have this idea that code is law. So in this case, this person, it's kind of funny, The Verge actually published their name to sort of shame them. This person who received something they weren't supposed to receive, they were like, code is law, I'm keeping it. We see this also with exploits sometimes. Less so now, but a lot in the past, there'd be an exploit of a contract, and people would say, that's not an exploit, that's a feature. And this person took advantage of the feature where they get to keep all the money. Code is law. You can't have that kind of misappropriation of property or thievery in a well-functioning society. You need to do everything you can to mitigate that, because if that's going on, then it's going to be very costly for people to operate in that society, to do business in that society. Like, you don't really want to live in the neighborhood where if you accidentally leave your car parked over your neighbor's house, your neighbor gets to keep your car. Because who knows, you might accidentally do that sometime and then you lose your car. So nobody's going to live in the neighborhood where the neighborhood code is that, any car left in your driveway is your car. Nobody's going to want to live there. So that was never going to be anything, any kind of code like that would enable something like that in crypto. And pretty much every time there's an exploit, that's what's happening. Or in this case, any missending of funds to an address, just somebody actually sent 7.2 million to the wrong address. It was never going to operate that way. The only time it operates that way is when you have anonymity. If this person had not been a customer of crypto.com, if crypto.com had sent it to a non-customer who wasn't KYC, just some random address, that person could probably get away with keeping it because they have anonymity. The same thing operates in society, but it's still not legal. If I anonymously go and procure my neighbor's car and keep it, it's still illegal. Even anonymity doesn't make it legal. Unfortunately, I think it's time to let code is law rest in peace. But when one thing dies, often another thing is born. And in the case of Cardano, that is the Vasil upgrade coming to life before our eyes. Here's another update thread from IOG. We'll skip down to the important parts. They kind of lay out the three different criteria for triggering the hard fork, and then they give us some more updates. Over 80% of SPOs have upgraded, and more than 70% of the top dApps we're tracking have confirmed successful pre-production testing. Exchanges are also busy, and the Cardano Foundation integration team remains in daily contact to support exchanges. As of today, 2 exchanges have confirmed readiness. There are also at least 27 exchanges in the process of integrating, 5 of which are in the top 10 for liquidity. This is great. We know we need something like 80%. They laid out here. Yep. We need 25 exchanges upgraded, representing 80% of liquidity. So even when we have 5 of the top 10, that's great. And then presumably another 22 outside of the top 10, maybe we're approaching, some numbers that are starting to put us close to that 80% of liquidity. When we come over here to the actual dashboard that IOG has been updating, it looks like they've updated it 12 hours ago. And they've now divided up the exchanges by the top 12 by liquidity and all the rest. I'm kind of surprised that Kraken is in the other exchanges category, not in the top 12. And it's too bad because Kraken is in progress. When we come to the top 12 exchanges by liquidity, according to CoinGecko, I guess, we see Binance is in progress, Bitrue is ready, Mexi is ready, Upbit is in progress, OKX is in progress, HitBTC in progress, but Coinbase, Coinbase, you may not be thinking about this, but Cardano has a long memory, and we're already in the top 10 by market cap of cryptocurrencies. We think our future gets even brighter. We're going to get even bigger, and we have a long memory. If you don't get busy, Coinbase, we might dislike you forever. I pretty frequently get questions that go like this: bro, why aren't you more into NFTs? Why don't you like NFTs? You don't seem to be buying NFTs. Do you even have PFPs, bro? Your profile pic is a letter. That's not even a PFP. Where are your PFPs, bro? The reason I don't have PFPs and I'm not more into that style, that genre of NFTs, I'm definitely into metaverse NFTs and gaming NFTs, but I'm not really into the other genre of NFTs, because just like code was never going to be law, this was always going to happen. Here's an article Cointelegraph is running. Looks bare. OpenSea turns into NFT ghost town after daily volume plunges 99% from peak. The scary thing is, this happened in 3 months. The marketplace processed nearly 5 million worth of NFT transactions on August 28th, approximately 99% lower than its record high on May 1st. This is just from May to August. Things have dropped. Volume has dropped 99% in 3 months. This was probably always going to happen. Why? Because PFP NFTs were the ICOs of this season. They felt exactly like ICOs felt in 2017. People were FOMOing into them for the exact same reasons they FOMOed into ICOs in 2017. I've said this a couple times, but I know there are legit art lovers out there. I know there are some of you who are buying them purely because you love the art. You love art in general, and you love the style of art that's being employed in these PFP NFTs. But you are in a slim minority. If you're that person, you're in a very small sliver of the overall buyers of PFP NFTs. And everybody else was pretty much just buying them because they wanted to make money. There was no ICO season this time around. ICOs, everybody kind of realized that they were on very very fragile legal ground. I think in 2017, that time has passed. So no ICOs this time. Instead, what did people have to speculate on? A few different things, but a big chunk of it, NFTs, PFP NFTs. And whenever you have that much speculation and that much FOMO, creating a market like this, inflating a market like this so quickly, you always have this inevitable drop off. We've seen this in crypto so many times over and over again. And here we're seeing it with NFTs. If you're a huge PFP NFT fan, and I'm glad you're around, I am glad Cardano has such a vibrant PFP NFT scene. I'm super happy it's there. But if you're a huge fan of this space, I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, no, bro, you've got it all wrong. This is just a general drop off in crypto. Fungibles have dropped off as well. You might be right, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure that Cardano is still going to be around in the next bull cycle. I'm pretty sure AADA is going to exist in the next bull cycle, and people will still care about it. However, random PFP NFT project, whether or not it's around in the next bull cycle, I don't know. That one's in the air. Obviously, that article was about OpenSea. So let's get specific and talk about Cardano. And yes, these numbers are going to include PFPs and metaverse projects and all kinds of NFTs. That's for sure. But let's look at this chart. Marketplace average monthly volume. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, hey, my good man, this doesn't actually look so bad. What are we at here? Back in December, we were at this high of 83 million in average monthly volume. And now we're only at 22.8 million. That's not so bad. That's like almost, we're at a little bit over a fourth. This is fine, my good man. You have exaggerated this whole thing. The problem is a lot of people are looking at this chart, which is in AADA. And the value of one AADA over here on this end of the chart, on this August and September end of the chart, is not the same value per AADA as it was back here in December. So it's not really a drop from 83 to 22 or 23. You got to look at the dollar chart, which we also have over here. When we look at the dollar chart, we get numbers in dollars, and the numbers look like this: $157.9 million versus over here, we have $11.7 million. I'm pretty sure this number right here is just a partial month. Maybe this is just the beginning of September or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. But even if we say, because these aren't really labeled here at cnftjungle.io, but even if we say we're going off this number, maybe this is the last completed whole month, I'm not really sure. We've got 11.7 million versus 157.9 million. This is also a tremendous drop off, just like we saw with the OpenSea. Okay, let's get to some good news. AADA is announcing that they're launching on September 13th. AADA is the decentralized lending and borrowing platform. This is interesting. I didn't really expect for any of the big Cardano DeFi projects that seem to be waiting for Vasil to be announcing any launch dates before we actually knew when Vasil was going to happen. But somehow AADA is sort of front running everybody else, or maybe it's better to say they're beating everybody else off the line here, and they're already announcing they're launching on September 13th. I think this is going to be a really fun time in Cardano projects in general, where we're going to see a lot of projects announcing their launch dates, and a lot of these communities that have been waiting a really long time for these projects to launch are finally going to see them launching. I think this is going to be a pretty big step in the evolution of Cardano. We've talked about it a lot, but Plutus 2.0, I think, is going to turn out to be, in a lot of ways, even a bigger deal than the launch of Plutus 1.0 with Alonzo. Carda Station has some pretty big new updates live today. These include their multiplayer racing game, their garage, and their Ready Player Me indoor avatars. Looks like the community center didn't quite make it for this week, but they're saying next week on the gigantic community center. So the Ready Player Me avatars indoor, I think, are a pretty big deal, because before you'd end up in this spacesuit when you were inside. Now it can just be the same Ready Player Me avatars you might be using in another metaverse like Pavia. I think this is a pretty big step forward. I think it'll be really interesting if we have quite a few metaverses in Cardano where you can use the same Ready Player Me avatar. I also like, though, that we've got some metaverses that are going the opposite direction. They want to do something a little bit different, and they've got their own kind of homegrown avatars. We see that so far in Virtua and in AADA Realm and in cornucopias. I don't think we actually know too much about avatars and cornucopias yet, but it looks like we'll have a nice mix of interoperable Ready Player Me avatars in some of these metaverses, and also some homegrown, slightly different avatars in other metaverses. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.